Hi, my name's Elaine Gilmore, and I own the quilting machine shop along with my husband John in Bunnell, Florida. And today I'm going to show you how I mount a quilt top to my handy quilter frames. We're going to be working on an Avanti frame today. You can do this on a fusion frame. You can do it on a professional frame, any of the handy quilter frames. It works. I love this method, and I love the fact that we have Velcro leaders because this allows us to remove our leaders anytime we want. And I'm going to show you how I use that removal of leaders to get the perfect mount on my backing. So for starters, I have a piece of backing here. The right side obviously needs to face down. So when you're mounting your quilt, you always want to put the right side of your fabric facing the floor. As you continue on and get it pinned on, next you would put your batting, and then your top goes on it. I float my tops so we're not going to use any leader on our center bar. In fact, the leaders on my center bar have been taken off, cut in half. I have two pieces now. I've hemmed the side where I've cut them, and I now have the ability to use these for wall hangings. So this half would fit perfectly for the job I'm doing, and then I don't have all this huge mass of leader flopping around. But what we're going to do today is we're going to pin on to our long leader on the front. Then I'm going to remove the back leader, and we're going to use the short leader to pin the rest of the backing on and finish our technique up that way. This is my pin tray, and I want you to see that it has two magnets on the back. This is a rectangular pin tray. It was purchased either at Lowe's or Home Depot. Not sure which, it's been a long time. If you can find one of these, get it. You will love it because it literally snaps to your bars, and your bars are not going to go, your pins are not going to drop on the floor, and they're not going to go anywhere. So I'm going to move it over here so it's not directly in the camera and obstructing your view. For starters, I have my backing placed across all bars. 1, 2, 3. The bar furthest down is referred to as the idle bar. This is your take-up bar. This is your bar 1, or belly bar, because it sits against our bellies, or in my case, my boobs. And this is our second bar, which is where we would pin tops if you were not floating. We float. There is no leader attached. I'm going to pick up the edge in the center, and I do not go nuts with centers. As long as I have enough table right and left of my quilt, I just pin it on. I'm going to take my edge, I'm going to line it up with the back edge of my leader, and I'm going to pin. I use the black line as my guide, and I place my pin in with a large bite. I'm not a person who loves to pin, so I use large bites and only the amount of pins I need. If you like to put excessive amounts of pins in, that's fine. You can. Incidentally, I am sitting on my saddle stool. I do not stand unless I have to. I can scoot along and do all my work sitting on my stool. So meanwhile, I'm just going to get these pinned in. Bear with me. I'll try and be snappy. Aren't you glad I don't have a full-size backing on? Wow. When I get to this edge, I want to make sure that these edges are firmly placed on. I will often start my pin just past the edge this way, and then I feed it, like so. Now get this side pinned down, and when I finish on this side, I just flicked a pin right across the room. When I'm finished pinning over here, I'm going to reverse the pin so that it faces inward. And I do that so that when I'm rolling up, I don't catch my hand with the edge of a pin hanging off beyond the quilt and tear nice little rips in the palm of my hands, which I have plenty of, believe me. The longer you quilt, the more you bleed. Okay, we're almost done here. I hope you can see this far on the camera. Kind of at a standstill with how much I can get in and how much I can't. Now when I get to this end, again, I'm going to just take it a little bit off and then come through and do my little feed so that it's nice and anchored. And I look at the back to make sure that it's all under the pin. It is. And I'm just going to set one more pin in here. Now we're ready to roll. So I'm going to go ahead, set my pins down. I like to take hold and do it gently because you have pins in, and pull on my leaders because I want my leaders to be as tight as I can get them before I start to wind. There we go. Then I just wind, and under it goes. Once I have my pins securely underneath and fabric all around them, I smooth. And I smooth it from the center out, crank it about 3 more times, center out and smooth. Center out and smooth. From the center out, and I do this until the entire piece of backing is completely rolled up on my bar. Now, I don't pay attention to whether or not I am perfectly straight at my edges. My whole goal is to get this backing on as smoothly as I can. Once it's on, it's larger than my quilt top. So if there's a little bit, if it kind of becomes off kilter on this end, I can see where my roll started here and it's ending here. That's fine. I can live with that because I don't need all of it. Okay, there we are. So now I've rolled it up, and when I get to here, I'm going to allow this section to hang over the second bar, aka the top bar. Now this is where I normally will come to the back and remove my back leader bar. I unwind it and I gently pull it off like so. Now if indeed I am quilting a bed-sized quilt, you will need to use this leader. But this is a wall hanging, so I'm just taking my leader off, putting it aside, and I'm going to take my wall hanging cut and use it. It's easier to deal with. I'm going to take it, I put it so that my printed side is facing me, and all I'm going to do is lay it over this quilt. And again, I'm not going to stress about whether I have more on this side or this side. What I am going to stress about is getting this lined up in a straight line on my bar, using the top of the bar. Now when I do, I can see that the backing is not even. So had I pinned this directly to this edge, that would have been all askew. And it actually would create a lot of variance in your quilting. You'd have saggy spots and tight spots, and it's never quite right. How often have we found that? Oh, too many times. So I have placed my piece of leader over my backing, and this is what I'm going to pin. This is going to remain over the edge. Place my pins down, take it from the center, pin it to the black line, like so, move over. And I always, always, always pin from the center out, because I can then keep my fabric and my leader top smooth with my fingertips as I go. Take a big bite, jump over. Oh, those went down quickly. And we'll just continue to pin. Now this is the trick. This one step is whether you have a great mount or an okay kind of crummy mount. If you quilt for hire, you already know that people do not square their backings, and you'll spend time and effort trying to square their backings to put them on your table. I never square a backing anymore. I look for one straight line at the bottom edge, and a torn line for me is fine. I don't care. I can then mount my quilt backing and get a great mount. Now, what would I do with this extra fabric? I would trim it off before I pull it under. If you don't trim it off, you risk that it will fold under and get quilted into your quilt top. So we're going to just trim that right off. Now again, when I get to this side, I'm going to feed this pin, and I want to be on the edge so that I make sure I have my edge tightly attached. And I'm going to go back and check this side, and I don't have it quite over, so I'm going to bring it back over, get it in there correctly. See how I bring my pin all the way to the end. Now, I'm done. I'm pinned. That's all the pinning I do. I would normally take my scissors, of which I don't know where they are. Whoops. I'm back. And I would trim off this edge. Okay? I'm going to leave it because this is a demo, but I would just run across, being careful not to snip my fabric. Drop the fabric down between your bars. You're going to unlatch your front bar and make sure your back bar is latched. So now this is loose, and I can take my quilt top from the center point, bring it under my idle bar, and just pull, because this is loose, until it comes up about to here. Now I'm just going to position this top bar so that I can attach my Velcro. So I push the Velcro down from one side to the other. Now to the next side. And I'm now attached. That hard. Come to my side. Crank it up. Bring it almost to the idle bar. Lock in the front. Give a twist. And I have a perfectly mounted quilt with no sagging sides. Military bed. That's what I think about when I do this, is my military bed. I have found this to be an effective way to mount, and I hope you do too. From here, we would put our batting in, and our backing, and our top. I'm sorry, not our backing. Our backing's on. I remove my second bar, which is the bar we normally would have pinned a top to, lay it to the back, like this. I now can easily lay my batting on, place my top on top of it, pick up my bar, bring it back, snap it in. I'm ready to quilt. And it was that easy. When I do this on my own, it takes me about 10 minutes. I hope you like it. If you have any questions, you can call me at my shop during the days. I'd be happy to answer your questions. Our phone number is 304-636-1665. That was wrong. I gave you a wrong number. 386-206-1665. Again, 386-206-1665. Call me up. I'm happy to help when I can. We are authorized handy quilter reps in the state of Florida, and we hope we can help you with further tips and tricks. Thank you.